The 4-3 Los Angeles Chargers traveling to the 2-6 Cleveland Browns showed us signs of life. See if they can keep on showing some signs of life. It is crossover Thursday. Locked on Chargers, locked on Browns. Everybody, buckle in.
You are Locked On NFL Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It is crossover Thursday. I'm your host, Jeff Lloyd from Locked On Browns. We are joined by Locked On Chargers host David Dragomeyer. It is going to be an interesting one. Los Angeles Chargers trying to put it all together, trying to find out who's going to finish second, most likely in that AFC West. Cleveland Browns, left on the side of the road, dead essentially. A lot of Browns fans feeling better about this team now. I think a lot of them are feeling better because their own affirmations were confirmed that they had no choice but to change the quarterback and show signs of change. But David, road team, Chargers come in here. I believe at the time it's either 2 or 2.5 point favorites. The Chargers come in here. And it seems odd because, Chargers, Browns seem to tee it off almost every single year for two teams that aren't actually in the same division. But Chargers, obviously brand new head coach. Team is 4-3, trying to, change the identity, becoming more of a Jim Harbaugh team led behind this great, brilliant young signal caller in Justin Herbert.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it's a complete 180 from what this Chargers team was in the past, and very much built as a finesse football team. Really invested a lot of resources in the wide receiver rooms, tried to get guys that were going to go out there and make plays on the outside, and that's just not how Jim Harbaugh likes to play football. Like, he wants to run the ball, he wants to dominate the line of scrimmage, he wants to play very, very good defense. And at least a couple of those things have happened. The Chargers have the number one scoring defense in the NFL, allowing only 13 points per game. They've been absolutely spectacular in that front. They've given up some running yards, but they're 8th against the pass. So the defense has been there. The running game, a couple of games look great. About 3 or 4 games have been very, very subpar in that department. And very much lately, they have been turning the kind of reins over to Justin Herbert and letting him go out there and sling it. And he's been the highest rated quarterback in the NFL over the last couple of games. So seems to be working. We'll see if that continues against the Browns.
It is kind of interesting, obviously here, Cleveland, Ohio, you're talking about certainly, Jim Harbaugh being the head coach. You're talking about a former Ohio State running back in J.K. Dobbins, who gave Harbaugh so many fits in college, now being the lead back. A guy that, I don't know how he ended up to the path there where he was. But, the Harbaugh brothers have this deal that, if you played for one of them, they know that you're good enough for the other. So it's been interesting in that respect. This is a team that moved on from longtime veteran Keenan Allen. The second-year wide receiver Johnson. I think it's better than it was as a rookie year. But where is this team as far as progressing? Look, it's great to be 4-3, but it's a question of are you being coached to the top of your abilities at 4-3? And if that's the case, you're definitely gonna have to upgrade talent as the years go on.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Chargers, especially on the offensive side, have not really found their groove completely yet. I mean, there's still been, some drives where they've gone 3 and out. There's been some lulls. They've had some issues scoring in the second half. But I think, honestly, for me, the biggest storyline on offense for the Chargers is Joe Hortiz going to go out there and make the offense better? Is he going to go out there and add a weapon to this Chargers offense that has kind of been underperforming? I mean, I think with Justin Herbert, he's trying to make it work. Lad McConkey, the rookie, has broken out. He's been fantastic. But I don't know if there's been enough out there for Justin Herbert if the Chargers really want to make a case to make the playoffs. Chargers are 24th in points per game, 23 in yards per game. They need to go out there and add. And unfortunately right now, Jeff, there's not a lot of options out there with the trades that have already been made for the Chargers to upgrade their offense. So the trade deadline's Tuesday. Is the Chargers going to make a move to try to improve this offense?
I certainly think that, it's something that you have to pursue here. And it's weird because everybody says trading deadline, but all this stuff that gets done, most of the time it's done 5 weeks before, 3 weeks before. You certainly had, Deontay Johnson just got moved. There was another talk about, Christian Kirk was going to be a huge guy on but, breaks a collarbone. Unfortunately, his season now is over. But Now, with that in the transition for making this team more into, something that's going to work for Haba. But dude, let's talk about this defense, David, because I mean, look, only giving up 13 points a game, and this is kind of a ride the Browns were kind of on last year. Their defense were really, really, really good, and it was pretty much a consistent factor early in the season that kept them in games and helped them to win games. It kind of seems to be that's kind of what's setting the tone right now for Los Angeles.
Yeah, the defense is definitely the tip of the spear for the Chargers this year, which is insane to say because it was really, really bad under Brandon Staley for the last kind of 3.5 seasons or however long he was here. He authored the number one defense in the NFL with the Rams, and then we just never really saw any semblance of that outside of maybe a few games. The Miami Dolphins game, I think, comes to mind where they're really just completely dismantled them. But those performances were few and far between. I think what we're seeing here under Jesse Minter is more consistency. Like they are a lot better against the pass. They swarm to the football. They're much better tackling teams. They don't allow a ton of explosive plays, which the Chargers hemorrhaged explosive plays last year under Brandon Staley. So that has been a completely 180-degree difference there from the Chargers. And also, I think it kind of makes me a firm believer that I want my defensive coordinator to be only the defensive coordinator and not have to focus on the entire duties of the entire football team. It just looks like it's really working out in that sense. Now, as far as the biggest storyline on defense for the Chargers in this particular game is, can they keep their pass rush going with Jameis Winston at quarterback for the Browns? Like, he's going to sling it, man. He's going to throw it out there. He's going to let his wide receivers go make a play for him. And so the Chargers pass rush looked a lot better. Last year they had 5 different Chargers, last week, 5 different Chargers that got a sack last year. The problem has just been the consistency with only 2 total sacks against the Broncos and the Cardinals in the previous 2 games. We also, found out that Joey Bosa was back at practice today, which is great. He did not have a setback. So that's going to be a big storyline for the Chargers going into this game is, can they get pressure on Jameis Winston, heat him up, make him uncomfortable in the pocket, and get rid of the ball before he necessarily wants to? Because, man, if he has time, he will sling it, and you don't want to be in that situation because then you're liable to be in a shootout.
No question about it. Crossover Thursday from the Locked On Podcast Network, Locked On Browns, Locked On Chargers, presented to you by Prize Picks, of course. David, one of the darlings of last year's draft class, Ladd McConkey, and there wasn't a team that was trying to, not profess their love for him. There wasn't a fan base that wasn't trying to find a way to put Ladd McConkey, into their team's draft plans. Chargers got him. And I think one of the most impressive things about last week is it was probably going into Thursday. They didn't have any idea whether or not he was even going to be able to go. And then he goes and hangs 6 for 111 and 2 scores against the Saints.
Pretty crazy performance there from Ladd. And I think Ladd and Justin Herbert have really started to get on that same page. That trust is definitely there. You can see it, that chemistry, not just on the short and the intermediate routes. They're starting to target him deep down the field and really showcasing that long route running ability too. Ladd came into the league as an immediate NFL ready route runner. Like his routes are so precise. They're stemmed off. He presents a friendly, sight picture to the quarterback, and he catches the ball and he makes plays, man. So I think the arrow is only heading up in the upward direction for Ladd McConkey, and he's going to continue to be featured in this offense because he's already proven in very short order that he is reliable on first down, second down, and third down. So they are definitely going to continue to feed Ladd McConkey no matter who they add or don't add to this offense.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like it was, 13, 14 years of Keenan Allen, and now it's going to be a 13, 14-year run probably for Ladd McConkey, just doing the same type of style, same type of production. We're going to continue here, Crossover Thursday, Locked On Chargers, Locked On Browns. We've talked Chargers, we'll talk a little Browns, and stick around for segment 3. We'll come up with some keys to victory for both teams. Everybody stick around. Our friends over at 5 Hour Energy know that being a passionate football fan isn't just a hobby, it is a way of life. It takes a lot of energy to power through all-day tailgates, touchdown celebrations, or an agonizing second overtime, which is why they created the Stan the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot with a special flavor called Fan Fuel, the energy shot made just for super fans like you, the fans who are first in the parking lot and who are the last to leave. We see you. Now, when you talk about this shot, it gives you something just to keep you through. And look, we get excited, certainly, David, for Ladd McConkey touchdown. us getting Nick Chubb back. Myles Garrett sack, 2 touchdowns from Cedric Tillman last week. Stuff like that gets you fired up, and 5-hour energy helps you remain fired up. 5-hour energy knows that no matter what team you root for, being a fan requires heart, soul, and a whole lot of energy. Whether you're prepping for the big tailgate or ironing your jersey, your game day to-do list is always a mile long. That's why the limited edition Stan the Fan 5-hour energy shot is here to help keep you fueled throughout the season. What's your fan fuel this week? Whatever it is, do it with 5-hour energy. Available on 5hourenergy.com, shipped nationwide. Crossover Thursday, Locked On Chargers, Locked On Browns continues. Your host from Locked On Browns, Jeff Lloyd, David Drogemeyer from the Locked On Chargers podcast. Now, when you got into this last week, I think for most everybody going into this Browns game, and look, I had been saying it for a month, and, look, I understand you say what you say at press conferences. A lot of it is just BS, and it's,
Right.
you don't want to give up much, but you also, want to say something. But the thing that I know most of this fan base had problems with is that week in, week out, it was Deshaun Watson's going to be the starting quarterback because we feel Deshaun Watson gives us the best chance to win. Well, for all of us, it was, well, prove it. Play somebody else and show us.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, we'll believe it. Now, look, the Ravens certainly didn't play their best last Sunday. The Browns do, have an advantage in that game. They know the Ravens so well. We did the crossover last week with Kevin Ostreicher from Locked On Ravens, and I said the one advantage the Browns have in this game is there's nothing for the Ravens to go off of. It's not like you're firing up the old Jameis Winston Cleveland Browns film and saying, all right, well, this is what we're looking for. But what you said to close out the earlier segment, and what I said to Kevin at the time is, Jameis Winston's going to go down dying throwing. He is going to go down swinging. He gives you a puncher's chance. There's not much athleticism in that body, so he's not saying, let me see what my legs can do for me. None of that stuff. Granted, the offensive line had their best performance of the season last Sunday. They made the move. Jedrick Wills was going to be out regardless. A lot of people now for a year and a half, we've been saying we'd love to at least just see DeJuan Jones at left tackle. Are we sure he's just a right tackle? He struggled early in the year, was injured, had a rough offseason, was rehabbing, was up to 415. Was not good. You're 6'9", almost 6 foot. Look, DeJuan Jones is a big dude to begin with.
Sure.
He probably plays in the 370 range. So not having a full off season, and then it came out that his weight was up. Obviously working diligently to get the weight down.
Sure.
All of a sudden, DeJuan Jones is a back to the player that the Browns were so excited about. Getting in the 4th round last year. Put him at left tackle. He looked good. Jedrick Wills returned to practice today. I don't think it's going to matter, to be honest with you. The Browns want, because they know Jedrick Wills is gone at the end of the year, so they want to get an early evaluation. Can DeJuan Jones be their left tackle of the future? Batonio, Wyatt Teller was back. Jack Conklin's working through the kinks. He's on his way, getting back to himself. Nick Chubb now has 2 starts back under his belt. You started to see it a little bit on Sunday. There was one, maybe a cut to the left, jump cut to the right, and it was like, wow. Now maybe a guy's getting a little bit of confidence back. Because once you start making cuts like that, it shows that you have belief in your knee and that it's healing. The tough side,
it's all the mental part, Jeff, right?
Sure.
I mean, whenever you have an injury of that nature that's so severe that you're like, man, I know I did the work, I know I did the rehab, but can I trust my body to go out there and do what I needed to do to go out there and play to the best of my ability? And I think Nick Chubb is still trying to get that 100% confidence level back.
Yeah, there's no question. And look, he's been through it, obviously, in his days at Georgia. And the thing that I found most impressive last week was he played in the first game against the Bengals, came back, and there it was Wednesday. And it was, Nick Chubb, full participant. So it was like, wow, basically, like a fish to water, just all the way back. The defense, it was their best showing of the season last week. You're going to be without JOK this week. He's already been ruled out, suffered a neck injury. Things look good, but the Browns will have the bye after the Chargers. So with a serious injury like that, you're certainly not going to mess around.
No.
Denzel Ward in concussion protocol again. Look, this is 6 overall. This is second this season. Again,
second
you have
this season.
Second this season, 6 overall. I mean, it's getting to be a nervous point here with Denzel Ward. Look, that's, a decision that only one person's going to be able to make, but you do have your worries about him. So you have to think Denzel Ward could be out of this game as well.
Yeah.
Now, those are 2 of your top defenders to this point this season. Martin Emerson, Greg Newsome. They played better last year than they have played this year. Certainly played a little bit better last week. You might not have Jordan Hicks either, which means you probably are going to start 2 reserve linebackers, although second-year linebacker Mahmoud Diabate has really, really picked it up, had 7 tackles and a sack, 2 tackles for loss last week. Certainly impressive from him. You're starting to get all your safeties back. Juan Thornhill, McLeod, Grant Elpit, all these guys are back in the fold. But they need to continue this because you can't just think that Jameis is going to go out every week and throw for 330 and 3 scores. Right. So you need the defense to start playing a little bit better in that respect. But, it's starting to come around. Now, do I think they're going to magically save the season and get it to the point where 2-6 is all going to turn into 11-6 or 10-7? Probably not. It's a Herculean task to ask. But for us and me and many kinds who follow this team and cover this team like we do, we knew this product was better than 1-6. Yeah. And I think we were just kind of getting, to the point where we were getting aggravated because we kind of felt like we were being fooled a little bit. Because, look, we know we've seen better. We've seen DTR win with this team. And that was the most frustrating thing is we've seen DTR win this with Kevin Stefanski. We've seen Baker Mayfield win with Kevin Stefanski. We've seen PJ Walker win with Kevin Stefanski, Joe Flacco. We have seen numerous quarterbacks, and certainly Jameis Winston. We've seen all these other quarterbacks play well within the system. The one guy we didn't is the one that they made the $230 million investment in and traded 3 first-round picks for. So now it's gone, and obviously he will not be coming back this year. And for all intents and purposes, I don't think we're ever going to see Deshaun Watson, in any way, shape, or form, with the Cleveland Browns. I mean, colossal mistake. And, most important thing with any mistake is understanding and realizing it's a mistake and bailing. Sunken cost is the stupidest thing anybody can do.
And for that contract in particular, Jeff, that is the only contract in NFL history that's 100% guaranteed. So every single penny is going to get put in Deshaun Watson's pocket, whether he plays another down or not, unless they have some kind of injury protection in that contract. He is going to make out like a bandit. Kudos to his agent. But going into this game here, obviously knowing that Deshaun Watson is probably not going to ever put a Browns uniform on ever again. But we do know that Jameis Winston is going to be the quarterback there. What do you think is the biggest storyline on offense for the Browns going into this game?
I think the thing is the Browns just, Amari Cooper was a great player for them for 2 seasons plus. But the problem was it kind of turned into the Amari Cooper show. True. And, Amari was getting 15, 16 targets and probably deserved them. There's no question about it. But the problem was, how are you developing anybody else? What's your wide receiver room going to be like down, going down the road? Meanwhile, a guy like Cedric Tillman, now in his 3rd year, there were questions, certainly, 2nd year rather. There were questions about, where was his development going to be? Well, 2 games without Amari Cooper. He's got 8 for 81. Last week was 7 for 99 and 2 scores. So you're seeing the development there. Elijah Moore got lost in the shuffle. He had 8 receptions last week. Jerry Jeudy, which was another move, and obviously a player that you've seen a lot of over the years. Bigger numbers for him last week as well. David Njoku still out there making plays for this team. The thing is if you don't have Amari Cooper, it gives you the element of surprise. Yeah. So you don't necessarily know where the ball is going to go, which gets this offensive system back to where it was in the beginning of the Stefanski regime. And basically there is no set featured guy.
Yeah.
We'll throw it to anybody. Whoever's open is going to get the ball. It could be the second tight end. It could be the 3rd wide receiver. It could be the 1st wide receiver. And I think that's what Jameis was able to do on Sunday. It was just find the guy who appears like he has the most separation and throw it to him.
Yeah.
And, he continuously did it. Look, was he wild at times? There were a couple of balls that certainly could have been intercepted. 23 of 34 is good. It's not absolutely great as far as, accuracy and completion percentage, but it was kind of confirmed what everybody thought, that not necessarily every part of the system was broken, but it certainly seemed like it was broken from the quarterback's standpoint of it. So we'll see. Does it carry over? But of course, now you're also talking about a team who's only getting 13 points a game and has some film on Jameis Winston and this Cleveland Browns offense. We're going to head on over to segment 3, Crossover Thursday, presented by Locked On Podcast Network. Also, thanks Prize Picks for sponsoring us. David Drogemeyer for Locked On Chargers, Jeff Lloyd, Locked On Browns. Everybody stick around. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Listen up, renters. You ever feel like you're stuck in this loop of rent payments, just watching your money vanish into thin air? It's time to turn the rent game around and start earning some serious rewards. That's where Built Rewards comes in. Real talk. We've all been there, feeling like we're burning cash with those rent checks. It's frustrating, right? But here's the deal. Built Rewards has figured out a way to make rent more rewarding. Say goodbye to the money bonfire and hello to a renter's revolution with Built. Built is breaking ground as a neighborhood rewards program that hooks you up with points on your rent. Every month, pay your rent and watch the Built points roll in. Use points to jet off on a dream vacation. Put your points toward a flight or hotel stay with 500 plus airlines and 700,000 plus hotels and properties. You can also use your points to book fitness studio classes, redeem them toward a future rent payment. They're designed to meet your lifestyle. Pay rent hassle-free through Built Rewards app. Your rent game just got a major upgrade. Built points have been consistently ranked the highest value point currency by the Points Guy and Bank Rate. Earn points by paying rent right now when you go to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNFL. That is JOINBILT.com/LockedOnNFL. Make sure to use our URL so they know that we sent you. Join built.com/LockedOnNFL to start earning points with your rent payments today. Crossover Thursday presented by the Locked On Podcast Network. Locked On Browns, Locked On Chargers. Your host, Jeff Lloyd. Your host, David Drogemeyer. Big one Sunday. Browns trying to get to that illicit third win, go into the bye week. We'll see what goes on there as far as trade deadline. Will the Browns make a move? Ironically enough, Tuesday, November 5th. There'll be a lot going on in this country, but at least for 32 of us here at the Locked On Podcast Network, our eyes will be somewhere else as well. David, though, look, this is a team that's been playing well. A team with good defense usually travels. The opportunity to get to 5-3 has to be really, really appealing with the Chargers. Maybe understanding you're not going to catch the Kansas City Chiefs, but you want to maybe get to where hopefully you can get some separation. It's going to be tight between certainly the Chargers and the Broncos. Maybe we can help you guys out in a few weeks when we head out to Denver. But some keys to the game for the Los Angeles Chargers, David.
Yeah, so the three keys for me in this game, if the Chargers want to come off with a victory, number one, Justin Herbert has to stay hot. Number two, win on third downs. And three, the rookies have to continue to keep playing high-quality football. So Justin Herbert, the last 2 weeks, Justin Herbert has been one of the hottest quarterbacks in the NFL, but they've gone 1-1 over that stretch. Back-to-back games, over 300 yards of total offense. The Chargers really can't afford for Justin Herbert to have a bad game, especially with the lack of the running game that they have seen the last few weeks. Offensively, he's a type of quarterback that elevates the talent around him, and very much like Jameis Winston, if you are open, the Chargers and Justin Herbert will get you the football. He does not care who you are, where you got picked, or when you got signed. That does not matter to Justin Herbert whatsoever. Win on third downs. If the Chargers win on third downs on both sides, they're going to win the game. They held the Saints to 2 for 16 on third down last week. That's 12.5% success rate. Offensively, they have only converted 25% of the time on third down. So that's got to get better. So you win on third down on both sides, you got a good chance to win the game. And then the rookies playing well. The Chargers have a lot of rookies that are playing a lot of very crucial, important parts for the offense. Joe Alt played one of his best games of the year last week, giving up 0 pressures in the entire football game. Now he has to go up against the boogie monster in Myles Garrett. So that's going to be a very, very big matchup to watch. McConkey's been the wide receiver 1 for this team. He's been fantastic. Good chance that the Chargers are also going to be starting a couple of rookie cornerbacks in Cam Hart and Tarheeb Still, who have played fantastic football up to this point. So Chargers have a lot of rookies that have been highly involved on both sides of the ball. If the Chargers want to win, those rookies need to continue to play high-quality football.
For the Browns, I'm going to start here. Look, I believe it's 4.8 yards per carry. The Chargers, the one thing they're not necessarily that great at is defending the run. Look, the Browns offensive line is playing better. This will be Nick Chubb's third game back. There were a couple of spots, had a 15-yard run on Sunday. There were a couple of spots where you said, you know what, he's almost there. He's almost there. Well, you see a team who's giving up 4.8 yards per carry. Maybe there's an opportunity for the Browns to do some damage here in this run game. I'm not going to lie. A guy like McConkey scares the living daylights out of me. I have watched guys like this just absolutely torture the Cleveland Browns for years upon years upon years. And knowing that there's a really good shot that Denzel Ward will not be a part of this party probably makes it even worse. So all eyes certainly on, I believe it's number 15. I always want to say 84, but that was college, of course, 15, Lad McConkey, who's really coming on. The other one, and I'm going to say it like I said it last week. Look, it's not over. Your season isn't over. I mean, it is still, it'll be November then, but it is still early. You are not even at the halfway point. You need to show up. And even anybody who might be questioning about whether, they're going, you're going to do that. You got to look at guys like Nick Chubb. You got to look at guys like Myles Garrett, Joel Bitonio, now even Jameis Winston. Because even though you're 2-6, if you're not going out there giving 110%, you're going to hear it from these guys.
Oh, yeah.
So look, you, as much as 1-6 stunk and everybody felt bad about it, everybody carries the same amount of guilt. Everybody carries the same amount of, basically being involved, and you are part of it.
Right.
So you want to change it.
Yeah.
You want to carry it. You want to change it. The only way you can do it is 1 week at a time. And this team it's always been win the week, win the day, Well, that shouldn't change. You know what I'm saying? These lovely mantras that everybody has, we don't use them in good times. We certainly have to use them in bad times as well. So try and run the ball. Try to slow down Lad McConkey, because he is the one that really gives me the fear here. And the other thing is continue to play for each other. It is, 53 is one. That is the way it should be. And, I think this team, it was really surprising last week that it came to this. And it was surprising because it was the Ravens. And the Ravens had just come off a Monday Night Football and basically beat the living daylights out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
But you start to got the thing of, all right, we're going to stick around if you're going to show us some heart. If you're going to show us you care, show us some effort, we're good. We're all going to be here. Browns fans ain't going anywhere ever. They're just not like that. They're
very loyal.
As loyal can be.
Yeah.
So, but it should be a good one on Sunday, 1:00, Cleveland Browns Stadium. Chargers come in, Cleveland Browns. If you're looking to your FanDuel lines, like I said, right now is about 2.5. My guess, it probably would go a little bit closer to maybe the Chargers favor a little bit more, because JOK is going to be out. There's probably going to be no Denzel Ward. So you want to put your wagers, you know what you're working with. Put together a prize picks lineup. I will highly suggest putting Lad McConkey probably in that lineup if I were you guys. Big thanks to Prize Picks, obviously, for always sponsoring us here. Crossover Thursday, presented by the Locked On Podcast Network, Locked On Browns, Locked On Chargers, Jeff Lloyd, David Drogemeyer. We appreciate all of you who make the show your first listen every single day. Make sure you become everydayers. Subscribe to both channels. Get in for all the action, good and bad. And like I try to tell all these, sometimes the content when the team isn't doing very well might be better content than when the team is doing good. Trust me, because as much time as we all put into this, when the team isn't doing well, we are usually a little aggravated ourselves. So you usually get really A+ content. The shows are always available. They're always free wherever you get your podcast. Appreciate everybody for listening along, and enjoy the game on Sunday.